Welcome back to Super Metroid. Last time, Samus arrived to Zebes and is now starting to go through to investigate it. So let's just see. Yep, that's a power-up we don't yet have, but we'll get. So the game is loaded with this kind of little, you could say, almost extra details. About locations that you can go yet or yet not go. But let's just look at the other path as well. There's plenty of these kind of little spiky things. Spin around, and if you bump them, they're gonna explode out and make the room dark, so it becomes much more difficult to navigate around. And there was a missile refill stations, which wasn't that much of a necessary trip to do then. So that just try to maneuver across the area, go back to the other side. I really think that when you think about the general design of that. Sorry, I think I may be having a bit of a cold coming up. Maybe. Or maybe not. Impossible to say. Oh, this looks suspicious. Because it is a path forward. Samus can go quite a small ball, and these again are a sign of something new kind of obstacle you can get through. Or let's say a sign of new tool you can get through that. So, but in this room it is usually, I would say, much more wiser to get down, and another little, you could say, foreshadowing location to go through. And with some sort of platform up there just to missiles solve the problem. At this phase of the game, missiles are still, you could say, the reliable method of dispatching the enemies. And these little pipe holes or endless amounts of enemies that can be used to then do some energy refillings, which is quite convenient without being an explicit refilling point. The game's got quite a lot of these kind of little things, and if there ever is a secret location highlighted that go here, it's over here, and which is good because it's practically mandatory. The first upgrade, and it's a new upgrade. Charge beam. It allows Samus Aran to load the beam to new powerful charge beam, and it does more damage. And it's also later basic beam becomes obsolete quite fast, and that kind of green door is also a new kind of door. So in addition to the blue doors which open with a beam and red doors which open with a missile spray, there's also these orange doors which open only with the aid of a weapon we don't have yet, but I will spoil it. The power bomb, and the green doors open with a new, also a weapon Samus doesn't yet have. Super missile. They are all very handy and necessary to get through this game. Which I really think it's nice that, because if you get through this game with or intend to get through this game with the intended path, nothing there. Getting through that yet, and even in this phase, you could say that Samus has taken quite a bit of beating. So, but just making use of the same functions just because I can. And as I am more than a little bit rusty in this game, there's a, I would say, quite big risk of death going on in here. At least in this phase of the game, where Samus has not yet made herself into practically unstoppable machine of death and destruction she becomes. But this early phase is quite vulnerable to enemies, but luckily also the enemies themselves are also quite vulnerable to her attacks, so there isn't not that much of, you could say, severe difficulty regarding progress. But I would still wonder, what kind of plant life are these things? Because in... Oh, and here's a new thing. A mini-boss. Spawn. But there's a method to... Spawn can actually quite easily be defeated. You can avoid its basically spinning around move attack with just being down here, and well, you could also just run around it, or you can then just duck down and then once it opens its mouth, lob some missiles inside. As many as you can, better. And there's those who are speedrunners actually know how to just basically skip this boss completely. But if you go through the game with the, you could say, the intended to path, you can't avoid this boss fight. Oh damn. Bumped myself. Yep, and like many other bosses, it's gonna, as it takes damage, it's gonna become even more aggressive instead of becoming weaker and losing energy. It gains energy, as in becoming more desperate and angry about wanting to attack. Oh yeah, got once again a few hits in. Yeah, I don't think there's any certain locations to avoid. But now it just exploded. Very simple boss because it has a very simple pattern, alright? Although, and I would say that one has actually quite intimidating design as well. And of course, because it was new, that was quite interesting. And they also even added some environmental storytelling, making the environment go all grey and fuzzy when it falls or when it dies. Nice little details of environment storytelling and all that. And once you know, we got the item get special music sounds. And falling to a chasm. Big fall. Right in front of Chozo's statue holding something special. The super missile. The second, you'd say the most powerful weapon of Samus's basic arsenal, which is to say, well, power bombs are in a sense more powerful weapon, but their usability is much, you could say, more limited in practice than the super missiles or regular missiles, or however you would call it. And a little bit of gameplay tutorial. Blast over the walls to open up paths again. also I'll show that, yep, and some more tutorial. Sometimes you can blast over open walls. And ta-da! Here you are. Oops, I was on the side. But now I PC. Look like that I can actually now go this direction, which is indeed where I'm going to go. Let's open a wall again to open path. And once again, there's something up there, but Samus with her current equipment cannot reach it with ease. So I'm not gonna do even. So I'm not going to do any much of that kind of trying to get through that path without any effort. And this is another, you could say, another little extra thing that Super Metroid added. Traversable walls, but there's also a little bit of trickery that, because that path was one of no return, because there was no way to get through that. And that was also, you could say, a slightly tutorial teaching about Samus's new ability of running. You can't walk through that with a regular jog, you have to use the dash. Dash is not that necessary special ability, but it's another new area of Green Star with a big downwards path going forward. And some clears which you can't destroy with your basic attacks, but you can blow them up with your bombs. And a big shaft going downwards. Super missile door. And if it isn't already very clear, there's plenty of paths and locations that are not shown in a map. So that you could say that whoever made the maps were quite cunning in that sense, that they really did not want to make it be too easy for somebody who might have technical means to tinker with those maps to have it easy time. Yeah, things that, yep, leave out that part. Not quite. Oh yeah, I succeeded in that jump. Yep, I did that. I managed to make use of the... Oops. Except that was not the way it was intended to be used. Lacking the super missile ability. Well, I guess I try to do a little bit of trickery around here. I try to get myself there. There's some little extra item over there which makes things forward a bit easier than they would normally be. This room also is, you could say that Lupe Yokoi placed a lot of emphasis on things that which would nowadays be called player training, as in introducing elements of gameplay in manner that makes it easy for player to understand what is the intended function of specific things. Now I have this. Now I have that. This is necessary missile. Let's go. Yeah, that's quite a cunning little trap. But I will just wait for that to respawn. Yep. Now it worked. bread beam, you could say. Normally you would need to have the special jumping boot to get this little item, but as I did a minor sequence break, yep, this game, yes, even somebody as bad in this game as me was able to pull off a minor entry-level sequence break, which should tell something about how, you could say, many layers of design this game has, and it pulls off with excellent skill. You could say the basic design is, but then once you start to take account all the special tricks and moves that can be done, it becomes much more impressive. And this corridor looks different. It's a pathway through Meridia, which you can actually open up later with a grand thing. Although, if this game would ever be made into, you could say, 3D, there would have to be a little bit of a preview of Meridia's boss in that game. And this is interesting little detail. There's a path forward and a big scary looking mouth over there opening. And that would be a entry to another little location that, well, if you would have much bigger mad skills, you could get to that place quite easily. That will lead to the first main boss of the game, who is actually a returning boss from the original Metroid game. But now we are doing a little bit of a trip to Norfair. And going in here. Yep, you're losing damage right away. Norfair is hot. So there's a need to get once again, another power up so you can get forward in this area. So just blast over the wall. Save my tiny ink to get through. Oh, and another of these rooms that, yep, you can get in, but you can't get through because there's a need for a specific power-ups you don't have yet. But I would say that the music that Super Metroid has needs to be I would call it, of the more subtle kind. It's much more in low, quiet, and ambient than loud and up to your face, big heavy action beats. Although this game does have big heavy action beats, loud music as well, but in general sense the game avoids it. They are avoided because the mood is much more about exploration and learning the places in your own pace and picking up a little bit of story and of the environment and events. Oh, but now I got the boot, high jump boot, which of course does exactly that, allows Samus to jump higher. And this room would normally be quite difficult to navigate without high jump boots. So there's a little bit of a something like a tutorials area where you get this upgrade to make player familiar with how it works, and that I say is one of the great design features of which Super Metroid has. As in, as you get familiarized with new abilities right away. There's no any extra need to take more difficult path or tutorials or anything. You just get to invest it right away, and no way to get forward here. Once again, another dead end. That yep, you don't have the abilities required to get through here. Nicely and comfortably do some jumps up there to get through. So So I would guess that those who are familiar with would be more familiar with original Metroid would be quite familiar with these areas as well. And now I can go to this morph area very easily. And it's got a quite big indications that, yep, this is a big and important area that you're gonna get into. There's danger around here. And a little path downwards. And a little bit of a room that I can't get into yet. And flying space pirates, they can get quite easily taken out with the massively powerful spacer beam. And a hole in the floor and a gap to go forward. Yep, this is quite secret. I don't. I'm not gonna go through to this room yet because I intend to go and make a save first. Yep, that should tell me that I am not that familiar with these locations. And the floor is quite blatantly marked as something that, yep, this is interesting, not normal floor. Do something active to it, like shooting it. Which I would say that this game had quite many of that kind of little design details. Well, it would be time to actually end this episode right here, and I'll see you next time. See ya, and Samus does a pose at the end.